Nikola Jokic, a back-to-back MVP, has become the face of understated dominance in the NBA. Yet for all his spectacular output, triple-doubles at will, highlight reel passes that defy logic, certain media corners, particularly ESPN, appear slow to embrace his full impact.
All right, let's go by the numbers on Jokic winning this award, starting with 15. Jokic became the 15th player in NBA history to win MVP multiple times and the 13th to win in back-to-back seasons. And he also created his own club, becoming the first player in NBA history.
With Jokic transforming Russell Westbrook's fortunes in Denver and guiding the Nuggets to real championship ambitions.
It's not just that Westbrook wants to come to Denver. It's that Nikola Jokic, I'm told, wants him here.
Yeah.
And that gives me a little more belief.
It's becoming impossible to dismiss his genius, but just how Jokic is dismantling ESPN's usual storylines. Before we dive into Jokic's domination, we want to introduce you to our official Hoop Hype store. Stocked with hoodies, tees, and mugs, it's perfect for repping your love for basketball and style. Tap View Products or click the link in the description to check it out, gear up, and support the channel. For many fans, it was unimaginable that Nikola Jokic, renowned for methodical, unselfish play, would seamlessly merge with Russell Westbrook, known for his frenetic pace and high usage. Not long ago, Westbrook's career seemed poised for a dramatic conclusion. After turbulent stints with the Lakers and Clippers, pundits pegged him as washed or uncoachable. The notion of him landing with the steady, unassuming Jokic felt absurd to those who saw them as stylistic opposites. Yet glimpses emerged that Jokic specifically nudged Denver's front office to bring Westbrook on board. According to Inside Chatter, the big man saw more than chaos Russ. He saw an explosive guard who could thrive in open floor sets, a player whose transition game had been overshadowed by difficult fits in LA. Before the acquisition was finalized, ESPN commentators posed dire predictions. Another meltdown, impossible synergy, a short-lived experiment. They believed the Joker-Russ tandem would combust under the weight of clashing habits. However, the moment they took the court together, something magical happened.
Russ, thank you very much. First of all, hey folks, before I ask him a question, what do y'all think about Russell Westbrook as a Denver Nugget?
For your support, I'm happy to be here. I got a lot of work to do, so thank you.
By operating from the elbow or the top of the key, Jokic quickly found Westbrook streaking down the floor or cutting along the baseline. Their synergy defied the two-ball dominant players can't coexist talk. Westbrook wasn't forced to pound the rock for 20 seconds. Instead, he moved fluidly, cutting back door for easy finishes, courtesy of pinpoint Jokic passes. Suddenly, the speed that once looked misguided found a perfect channel. Early box scores told a surprising story. A high net rating whenever both men shared the floor, triple-double explosions reminiscent of Westbrook's Oklahoma City days, and a new brand of unstoppable offense Jokic orchestrated. ESPN's preconceptions of them as an oil and water duo had to be revised. The pairing worked and thrived, fundamentally reshaping the Nuggets dynamic. Two players critics claimed would never click join to produce a mesmerizing brand of fast-paced yet cerebral basketball, cranking the hype machine from long shot to sleeper title threat. The heart of Jokic's stardom isn't just his ability to rack up points, it's how he dissects defenses like no other big man. ESPN commentators routinely tout his triple-doubles and MVP accolades.
Even though he finished with career highs in points, rebounds, blocks, steals per game, his versatility being on full display without his running mate Jamal Murray is, should he have won the MVP? So Ramona, I'll start with you.
But they often undersell just how revolutionary his passing is. Historically, a center's job was to anchor the paint, maybe step out for a mid-range shot. Jokic, however, roams from the three-point line to the low block, orchestrating an offense that looks more like a Chris Paul highlight reel than a typical big plotting inside game. His passes arrive from angles that baffle defenders and sometimes baffle his teammates. He'll flick an overhead lob, rifle a one-handed bounce pass, or even deliver a no-look dime with the smallest window. The effect is twofold. Not only does it produce easy buckets for wings and cutters, but it also cultivates trust. Role players sense that if they move, Jokic will reward them. Guards know they can push into a lane because Jokic stands ready to reroute the ball to a wide-open shooter. This synergy fosters a willingness to cut, rotate, and maintain spacing that few offenses replicate. In Westbrook's case, Jokic's presence subverts the usual ball-dominant guard dilemma. Critics said Russ would overshadow a big, but they forget Jokic is no standard center. He doesn't demand a shot every possession or situate himself exclusively in the post. Instead, he's content facilitating from the top of the key or high post, letting Westbrook surge into the paint off a give and go. ESPN's typical storyline about ball sharing constraints melts away under a system where your pivot is your best point guard. Jokic's success also emphasizes the gulf between standard metrics and deeper truths. While ESPN highlights points per game or raw triple-doubles, Jokic's intangible synergy transforms a game. He's not racking up assists by holding the ball for 15 seconds each possession. The ball pings around quickly, forcing defenders to scramble. When one of the league's best passers is also a versatile scoring threat, opponents face impossible choices. That's the real secret behind why Denver's offense can look unstoppable. And it's also why the network's simplistic narratives about paint-bound bigs or old-school centers fail to capture what Jokic truly does. Before his Denver arrival, Russell Westbrook felt like a relic of a past NBA era. Despite gaudy triple-double counts, the narrative around him soured. Critics claimed he burned bridges in Oklahoma City, clashed in Houston, and flamed out with the Lakers. ESPN segments regularly hammered the Westbrook can't adapt refrain, painting him as an erratic guard no contender wanted. He was left adrift after a brief, forgettable half-season with the Clippers. Enter Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. From day one, Westbrook seemed unshackled. Gone were the forced jump shots or possessions where he dribbled down the clock, replaced by quick-hitting attacks leveraging Jokic's pinpoint outlets. The big man's approach gave Westbrook the freedom to be dynamic again, racing for transition buckets, cutting behind unsuspecting defenders, and reeling off high assist totals by playing within a structured system. The negativity from his Lakers stint, where he was labeled a locker room vampire, dissipated in an environment that believed in him. Numbers alone don't reflect the renewed sense of joy in Russ's body language. Teammates thrived on his energy, while Jokic happily funneled him scoring chances off rebounds or double teams. The synergy was immediate. Westbrook posted near triple-double averages in some stretches, accomplished with fewer forced shots than in years prior. ESPN's gloom-laden predictions of a meltdown got overshadowed by daily highlight reels showing behind-the-back passes from Jokic hitting Westbrook at full sprint.
I mean, you know, they're going to play through Jokic, and obviously PJ's taking on responsibility with Lively getting 5 fouls, but into the last minute. Two defenders to Jokic again. He makes the right decision.
Jamal Murray, once the clear backcourt star beside Jokic, now faces a new reality. Russell Westbrook's presence alters the team's ball distribution and tempo. The Canadian guard earned national recognition for his bubble heroics, and when healthy, has typically functioned as the 1B option. Yet injuries and inconsistency have plagued him, opening the door for Westbrook's ascendancy in the rotation. Some fans hypothesize that Murray, typically a volume shooter who thrives in pick-and-roll sets with Jokic, might benefit from playing more minutes off the bench.
What's up, Jamal? Hey, get well, man. You know, we just want you to be back on the court. We just want to see you hoop, bro.
Why that seemingly radical idea? Because it maximizes both Murray's shot creation and Westbrook's synergy with Jokic. Instead of forcing a 3-guard line or pushing Jokic to accommodate multiple ball handlers, the Nuggets can experiment with a structured approach. Russ and Jokic start games hot, capitalizing on Russ's speed while Jokic orchestrates from the elbow. Meanwhile, Murray enters to torch second units, just as top-tier sixth men do. The result might keep all 3 players fresh and reduce the pressure on Murray's recovering body. That arrangement could also mitigate issues with shot selection or spacing if Russ and Murray overlap heavily. However, such a plan demands a coach unafraid to shift star roles. ESPN, for all its highlight culture, often spins any benching of a name guard as scandalous. The reality is, if the endgame is a championship, focusing on lineups that drive the highest efficiency and best chemistry matters more than a standard starting 5. Murray's closers, not starters, might still be the lineup that features him for the final possessions, especially if he's cooking offensively. Early glimpses suggest these puzzle pieces can fit. The Nuggets unleashed unstoppable runs when Jokic plus Westbrook drove initial momentum, and then Murray joined to maintain a lead, punishing fatigued defenders. The question is whether it'll become standard or stay a situational approach. If Denver commits to creative rotation management, they might have the most balanced triple threat in the league. That possibility starkly contrasts with ESPN's usual narrative that star guards can't share the floor or that Westbrook is too far gone to be a difference maker. Despite the electrifying transformations in Denver's backcourt, ESPN's major segments often revolve around bigger market sagas or controversies. They might dissect every tiny squabble from the Lakers, Knicks, or Warriors, but overlook how Nikola Jokic quietly spurs an MVP-level revival in Russell Westbrook. When they mention Denver, coverage tends to be superficial, lots of talk about triple-double threats or Jokic's unusual style, rather than the deeper synergy rewiring the Nuggets. One reason is location bias. The Nuggets aren't in a top 5 media market, and Jokic's unassuming persona lacks the showmanship some producers crave. ESPN tends to chase star drama or viral sound bites. Jokic's measured statements and Westbrook's newfound humility in Denver produce fewer sensational headlines. Meanwhile, other narratives overshadow the real story. ESPN devotes entire segments to potential Lakers trades or East Coast rivalries, leaving minimal time for a nuanced breakdown of how Jokic's brand of basketball redefines spacing and ball movement. Even when attention turns to Westbrook, the discussion typically lingers on his vampire in the locker room days or the meltdown in previous playoffs, ignoring how drastically his shot selection and turnover rate have improved next to Jokic. The mainstream lens remains stuck in an outdated script. Russ is reckless, Jokic needs off-ball shooters. So what's happening in Denver is either an unsustainable fluke or overshadowed by something flashier. Yet game film and advanced data say otherwise. The two form one of the league's highest net rating duos over meaningful sample sizes. Moreover, ESPN rarely explores the coaching angle, how Michael Malone fosters an environment encouraging Westbrook's aggression and Jokic's pass-happy approach without friction. But that synergy is precisely the kind of in-depth storyline fans devour. Instead, episodes of daily talk shows might revolve around a single offhand quote from a coastal star or a rumor about a mid-tier player's trade demand. Critics and analysts, especially in bigger media circles, were once adamant that a standard ball-dominant guard would clash with Jokic's pass-first approach. They'd point to historical examples of star big men overshadowed or stifled by point guards needing constant touches. Yet Jokic's singular skill set short-circuits those comparisons. He's not merely an imposing post anchor, he's effectively a 7-foot conductor, orchestrating each offensive possession from wherever he stands. Westbrook's presumed inability to adapt next to big men was a core piece of ESPN's skepticism. After all, his partnership with Carmelo Anthony or even Anthony Davis didn't yield consistent success, fueling speculation that Russ's relentless drives would drown any star frontcourt player. But the difference with Jokic is that he's comfortable relinquishing control on the perimeter, delivering inbound or a half-court pass swiftly, then drifting to open space for a possible give and go. He doesn't need the ball for 15 seconds to establish position. He's happiest reading defenders' confusion, waiting for the perfect moment to slip behind them or thread a pass. This dynamic gives Westbrook the runway he needs to be effective, unimpeded lanes to the rim, and immediate passback outlets that generate open jumpers for others. The synergy is reminiscent of a classic pick-and-roll pairing, except the roll man can also slip a behind-the-back pass or dribble himself into a triple threat. Contradicting ESPN's warnings, no one hogs possessions. They share the load fluidly, each playing to their strengths without stepping on each other's roles. Defensive concerns, some predicted the duo would leak points, haven't proven catastrophic either. Westbrook's high-intensity ball pressure complements Jokic's focus on angles and timing. If they're not a lockdown tandem, they're at least fueling transitional bursts off rebounds or steals. That constant push stifles opponents who fail to set up quickly. The sudden ascendance of Russell Westbrook doesn't necessarily push Jamal Murray aside. The Nuggets might experiment with a three-headed offensive monster: Murray's perimeter shot-making, Westbrook's downhill aggression, and Jokic's everything else wizardry. On paper, it conjures visions of unstoppable scoring waves, with Jokic picking out each guard's sweet spots. But balancing that backcourt's usage could prove tricky. Murray, typically comfortable as Jokic's top sidekick, might need to relinquish a share of possessions. Meanwhile, Westbrook thrives when he can push the tempo relentlessly. The synergy demands unselfishness. All three must be content with spacing out for cuts or spot-up jumpers, trusting that the pass will come. Jokic's track record suggests he'll facilitate fairly, but it's on Murray and Westbrook to remain engaged off-ball. Defensively, a triple guard look is prone to mismatch problems unless the guards rotate seamlessly. Jokic's presence in the paint helps, but doesn't turn the group into a fortress. That said, Murray and Westbrook's energy could generate steals and fast break transitions. The key is ensuring they don't gamble excessively, leaving Jokic alone to plug holes. If integrated successfully, the payoffs are enormous. The Nuggets could blitz teams in the first quarter behind Westbrook's pace, let Murray handle mid-game sets, and rely on Jokic's calm leadership. In crunch time, they can pick whichever matchup is most vulnerable. Murray's dagger threes, Westbrook's fearless drives, or Jokic's unstoppable post-ups and passing. ESPN might fixate on potential friction, but the players themselves control whether synergy emerges. Nikola Jokic's brilliance has reshaped the entire Nuggets franchise, but his impact on Russell Westbrook's renaissance is a direct challenge to ESPN's long-standing narratives. Westbrook's washed label dissolves when channeled through Jokic's transcendent playmaking. Moreover, the partnership lays bare the flaws in pundits' assumptions, whether about ball-dominant guards or how Denver's big man needs only off-ball shooters. By thriving together, they undermine the usual mainstream storylines and prove dynamic synergy can appear unexpectedly. If ESPN's coverage still lags, it's because Jokic's mastery continues to outpace conventional wisdom. But let us know your thoughts down below, and don't forget to check out our store is open and stocked with hoodies, tees, and mugs. Perfect for repping your love for basketball in style. We appreciate every single one of you, and make sure to stay tuned for more NBA insights beyond the headlines, shown on screen.